All right, so this topic, you will see that I uploaded the slides earlier today. So if you want to bring that up, feel free. And so this is, yeah, so I want to base this on the paper I asked you to read, but we're going to discuss some of the paper, part of the paper, of course, but I'm trying to use the paper, especially once you once you read it, you will get a sense of like in application what people would do. I mean, obviously, in that longitudinal business database, they have multiple variables, right? And they have multiple variables they want to protect. And in particular, the multiple variables, they have multiple different types. So naturally, you will get into the problem of, well, if I have a continuous outcome, what should I do? If I have a binary, what should I do? If I have a categorical, what should I do? But also, if I have multiple variables to synthesize, what should I do? Okay, so I'm trying to use this as a case study, what I call, but then we're gonna talk about two important topics. One is the sequential synthesis procedure. That's what they did, and we're gonna talk about how that works and why that works. And the other one is different methodologies for different variable types, which we will see in detail. All right, so the longitudinal business database, hopefully all of you have read that paper to some degree. And there's appendix that I uploaded as well, especially the appendix contains the actual methodology. So that might be where you find the answers from. So the LBD is the annual economic census. So when they say census, it includes every business establishment in the US. Okay, it's not a sample, it's not a survey. So it is, so that's what they call it. It's a universal file. It's gonna be no sampling, everybody, every business establishment. So it's the annual economic census of business establishments in the United States. You have more than 20 million records dating back to 1976. Okay, so I mean, this information I got it from the paper, so you will know that as well. It will support very active research agenda on various topics, especially when you have record level data like what they have now. It will provide you a lot of research opportunities. Okay, so I personally actually don't do any research about this. I have no idea, but I'm sure those are important topics people care about. And just like all of the other public available data that we have seen, like the American Community Survey, the Consumer Expenditure Survey, access to those confidential data is regulated by Title 13 and 26 of the US Code. That means researchers who want access will have to follow lengthy or potentially costly procedures to use the data. And typically, you will do it at one of the several Census Bureau Research Data Centers, RDCs. I'm sure New York City will have one, but if New York doesn't have it, I'm pretty sure Cornell University, I mean in this area, like big area, is one of the RDCs. Okay, so yeah, if people want access to that, they will have to do like applying to use it, and then like you have to make trips, and you can only what I know in the past, I never accessed any of those, but when I was in grad school, I have a grad school friend who had to do that like very commonly, like very frequently, and then it was really strict that I think you can only take certain things with you to go into those rooms. It's complicated, but like it's like after like it's under all of the security checks and all that. So complicated, but some people, well, yeah, do have to get access to conduct research of their own. Okay. All right. So from the paper, I got this table. Everybody will have seen this table by now. So you will see that they have a few variables here. You can see the type, I mean the name of the variables, the type, the description, and the notation. So they use X, Y, and X and Y. So we're gonna like follow what they do. They also have this column of action. So you will see that there are a few, like two of them are created. Like created meaning that I think they derive, like based on what they have. There's one not released, which is the county. And I think this ties back to what we talked about in our first lecture, that geographic location is always very sensitive. So what they do, I think in the paper they say that, the last bullet point here, no geographic or firm level information are included, though county and state were used when they were doing the synthesis. Okay, so they can be really good predictors, but they themselves is too sensitive, so they never release them. So I think that's what they mean by not released here. But they use it. And you remember X1 is always in the model, right? So that's what they mean. And they also have this SIC. It's an industry code. I think 3-digit is the level that they have. They use X2 for it. And this is one variable that is unmodified. In this case, I think it just unsynthesized but released. Okay? And then everything else is synthesized. Include first year. That's the first year the establishment is observed in the census. So yeah, so it is considered as a categorical. Last year is also categorical as last year establishment is observed. Note that the data, I think, the LBD goes from 1976 to 2001. Right? Yeah, so I think, yeah, the last year, I mean, all of those will be one of those years in this period. And so they also create this year variable. It's year dating of annual variables. So actually not too sure what it is, but it's created, okay, and is not being used in the model at all. And the other three, multi-unit. So it's I guess it's whether the company is multi-unit or not. So it's a categorical variable. It's sensitive, and they use Y3, and it's going to be synthesized. The last two, there are two continuous variables. Okay, one is the employment, the other one is payroll. And in fact, later you see that in the model they have time component for this because it's being observed every year, ever since. Every year between the first year and last year. Okay. So that will be factored into the modeling as well, but all of this are being considered sensitive, so they're going to synthesize them. And the paper also mentioned that there are some additional variables, very useful ones, for example, firm structure, I guess. They were not used, but you could do it. Okay, so this paper published in 2011, and if you go to so if you just search synthetic LBD, you will go to the census website, and you will see that the data product there, is being done using this model. Okay, so I think that was back then what they were trying to do. And I didn't mention this, but I think there is a follow-up paper, 2014, and they call it SynLBD 2.0 because they did a newer version of that. So I think what's available right now on their website is maybe the 2.0 version. But regardless, they're doing some kind of synthesis model behind it and then trying to generate synthetic data. Okay? So I think at least in their paper, they're saying that other variables can be used in the future iteration. And then, but regardless, they never really do geographic or firm level information there. Okay. All right, so you should know this very well. And so a couple of other things, we won't deal with them because it's not it's not very important to what we care about now, but there are certain features about the SynLBD that we should know. One thing is, like we were saying, it is a census. Census meaning that every business establishment in the US is included in the census. And if you are not doing a census but doing a survey, we never talked about this, I think, even in 347, but it's a big research topic that when you are doing a survey, because we know that a survey, each observation is supposed to represent a group of observations out there that we didn't get to sample, right? So each observation actually going to come with a sampling weight. A sampling weight is trying to give you a weight in a sense that you can use that weight. So you can use WI. W stands for weight for each observation. You will be able to use the weights to, like, say, return some kind of estimations about the entire population. Okay, so we won't go into detail. I personally don't know too much about it anyway. But the thing is, the LBD is a census, so there will be no sampling weights, so you don't have to worry about them. But in a lot of survey methodology research, you have to worry about how to model the sampling weights or how to use the sampling weights in any way. So it's a big thing, and but then the LBD, we don't deal with it because it's a census. Okay, so I should mention the ACS. Yeah, I should mention, yeah, the ACS, American Community Survey, the sample that I gave you to play with, as well as the CE, all of them come with weights. Okay, CE well, ACS, I think, yeah, anyway, ACS, the dimension, I'm not too sure now, but CE, if you remember, the one that I gave you, I think has only 994 observations. Okay, so, and then it was a subset of something out of like 600, 6,000-ish. So pretty much every quarter, when the consumer expenditure survey are doing their work, they only select a little bit more than 6,000 households or like consumer units in the entire United States, and then trying to get a representative sample and then do all of that. So each observation comes with a sampling weight, right? Because, well, you will need to use that to reproduce some of the population level estimation. Okay, so just so you know, actually sample weight is everywhere. We just never talked about them. Okay, but for the synthetic LBD, it's a census, so we don't have to worry about weight. All right, so they also did some cleaning steps. That's what they say in the paper. So, well, we never know what they are, but just so you know, they exist. And it's one record for each of the 21 million establishments. And it's a time series, because for each record, I mean, for each business experiment, if they exist for more than 1 year, they're going to have multiple records. All right, so that's the